water real quick.
Okay, I clicked something. It's waiting. There we go, I think. Are we live, people? We're live, Nancy.
Are we live?
But nobody can see me. I don't know. We are. Yes.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all can hear us and everything. Welcome to Two Beautiful Crones, One Powerful Conversation. This conversation was created for adults who have lived enough life to appreciate it. And today we're talking about something that almost all of us have heard at one point or another. And maybe some of us haven't, but sometimes we hear that you've changed. And sometimes it's said as a compliment. And sometimes it's said like as a criticism. And sometimes it's said by people who are uncomfortable because you stopped being the version of yourself that benefited them. So Nancy and I are going to talk about why growth often makes other people uncomfortable and why setting boundaries changes relationships and why becoming more yourself can sometimes create unexpected resistance. So let's get into it. So what do people really mean when they say you've changed? What do you think, Nancy?
Well, I think when you grow, sometimes people can be threatened by that. If you like if you're working and the people that are working with you just notice that you're a little different, because maybe you have a deeper dimension to your life, your life purpose has changed, or and also, when you find your partner in life, you change, because that person is extra special to you, and you want to spend a lot of time with them and maybe not as much time with your friends in the beginning of the relationship. But I'm just looking at the chat.
Me too.
I have really changed in the last, I'd say 7 or 8 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I'm 79 and I retired when I was 65. So, that was a huge change, but I think change is a good thing.
I do as well. I think, growth is a part of living, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do. Every decade, we grow more and more and more. And I think, often what people miss isn't always who we used to be. I think they miss, I don't know, what they received from who you were sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what people miss sometimes.
Yeah.
I do. Peggy says, I agree with you, Nancy. Hello, Peggy. Hi, Addie Grace. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Hi, everyone here. Welcome to the chat. This is Nancy. Nancy.
Hello.
Is my dear friend. And Nancy and I have started this conversation. And hi, Rose. Thank you, Rose. And hi, Bella, sweetie. You have some good news. Good, Bella. Send it to me, Bella, the other way. I can't really talk about that today. This is an adult conversation. I'm not here to chat with you guys like that today. So send me a message, Bella Boo. But Nancy and I just wanted to talk about some topics. So every week, this week is on my channel. Next week, it'll be on Nancy's channel. Hi, Glenn. And hi, Pam.
Oh.
And so, we want to engage with you all in the conversation, especially those of you of a certain age. And then you young folks, too, because you have something to say about this, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you do. And I welcome everybody here. But really, these are adult conversations. Nancy and I are crones. Yes. So we are ladies of a certain age. Nancy is in her septuagenarian era. She's in her
Yeah.
last year of that era.
Yes.
And I'm in my sexagenarian era. So Google is your friend. If you don't know what that is, Google it.
Well, that sounds very sexy, Lexi.
It does. It definitely does. It definitely does. So,
Well, you had asked me, if anyone had gotten angry that I had changed,
yes,
and I had told you, that I was not aware of it,
right,
if it happened.
right.
But if anyone is angry that I've changed, that's not my problem,
It's definitely not. Mhm.
And I have been on a path of spiritual transformation. That's where I am with my tarot practice and my, my runes and my Zen meditation that I'm doing. And I have changed greatly inside. Now it may not be apparent to everyone, but let's see, somebody, Pam says I'm with Nancy's decades.
Yes. Pam is in her septuagenarian era.
Yes. But I think if anybody had a question, it might be confusing to them, especially, if I was talking about it and they didn't understand, but I would try my best to explain it, but maybe some people are threatened by that. I don't know,
I think that some people, I think that as they see our light and as they see us progress, and what I'll use for an example is YouTube for an example, since that's where we are.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of times it's hard for people to see us advance or grow. People always wonder, well, how come they have so much and I don't? Or how come this and how come that, instead of trying to just do what they do, so like you just said, what somebody else thinks about us, and really that's a whole part of the 4 agreements with Don Miguel Ruiz, what somebody else thinks about us is really none of our business. But people have a hard time, I think, when they see others progressing and they're kind of stagnant, or they're not moving as far as they think they should be at the time.
Well, it's work.
It is work, Nancy.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like I'm a work in progress. And, I learn as I go, and what serves me, I keep, and what no longer serves me, I let go, and sometimes letting go is hard,
It is very hard. It's very hard. It really is. Let me see if I could put some things up on the screen for us.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Pam says, if someone says I've changed, I say, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And change is a good thing. I think it is, Gosh, I wouldn't want to be like I was when I was in my 20s. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Now, having said that, inside, I feel like I'm 20 something, which is sounds very weird, but up here is not 20 something.
Well, I think that for the most part, I welcome the change. I always welcome the change, because we're as young as we are. Today is the youngest that we'll ever be.
Yes.
So think about that, right?
Yeah.
Today's the youngest that we'll ever be. And so as we get older, it's like amazing, because when you're a little child, you don't think of, my God, I'm going to be 79 or I'm going to be 62. We don't think about that. Seems so far off in the future. We never think that we can actually be here in this moment. And I think that's something that people don't think about. Like, don't worry about what somebody else is doing or what somebody else has. Try to get there. Try to be that. Try to get yourself there, right? Try to get there.
Yeah, and Fatima just came in. It's lovely to see.
Hello, Fatima. Yes. beautiful, Fatima.
Yes.
And, you know, do you think that people struggle more with our growth with losing access to us sometimes? You know, like some, you know, do you think that?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I was getting ready to do a live stream with and doing readings, and a friend of mine that I had worked with, she's a couple years older than I am. She just dropped by, and I told her, I said, "Oh, I'm getting ready to do a live. I do tarot readings, you know." I said, "If you want to, you can come in here and sit, you know, while I'm doing it, you know." But I can't really. I mean, I have to do it, you know. It's scheduled, and you know, and you know, she came in, but she left after a few minutes. I think it made her feel uncomfortable, you know, and she waited in the living room until I was done with the live stream, you know, and then we had our visit. But I could tell that she wasn't interested at all, and that's okay, you know,
Right,
because
right.
and it to with her, it wasn't because she had, you know, religious scruples or anything like that, because a lot of people do, you know, they kind of prejudge metaphysical stuff a lot of times, you know.
Right,
And,
right.
but I mean, we're still friends and everything. But I mean, I don't even talk to her about it, you know, because she's not
Yes.
interested. So why would I, you know, keep
Right,
trying to get that, you
exactly.
know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and I guess that's where boundaries come in, right? Like boundaries kind of change everything. And so now, you know, that's a boundary between you and her. She's not interested. So
Right.
that's
Right.
not something that you two will do together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think boundaries also teach people how to treat us. And that's really important when you get to a certain age, because many women, you know, we were taught at a young age to accommodate everyone else first sometimes, and we're always last.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being that person who, you know, when you get on the plane and they say, okay, if anything happens, make sure you put on your life
Yeah.
vest and oxygen mask first.
Uh-huh.
Right. And
Yeah.
but a lot of times we don't think about that. We're so busy doing
Mm-hmm.
for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing, and that's a big part of this too, you know, of
Mm-hmm.
change and evolving. I think once we stop doing that and we start putting ourselves first, that's a big change for people. What boundary, Nancy, do you think changed your life the most, or do you have any boundaries, you know, that have changed things for you?
Well, well, one of my boundaries is, you know, I'm very conscious of energy, the energy that people have, you know. And
Yes.
if somebody has a really negative energy that pulls me down, I do not enjoy being in their their presence,
Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, I mean, some people might say, well, that's because you're empathetic, you know, and like, but you know, there are things called energy vampires, you
Yes.
know, that they absolutely, I mean, you're, after you hang out with them, you are absolutely exhausted, you know.
Yes.
And oh, that's wonderful,
Yes,
Fatima.
that's
Yeah,
wonderful, Fatima.
yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. Um, but you know, one of the
Yes.
things that I thought about when we were talking, you know, about this is um, sometimes they don't really miss us. They miss the version of us that made them feel comfortable. You know,
That part. Yes.
and when we're no longer that person, and you know, they think, well, you know, she's so happy. Why is she so happy? What does she have that I don't have? You
Yes.
know, it's not something physical. It's in here, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
you know, everybody has to find that for themselves.
They do.
I mean, but I had a note here. It says, when we stop over explaining, when we create boundaries, when we stop rescuing everyone, when we stop seeking approval, that causes some people to feel maybe less than, or like they're left out,
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
love
agree
that
with that.
comment you've got up. Yeah.
Yes, this comment from P&Q. Yes, it can make one question themselves, yes, or feel insecure instead of your success motivating them. That is what Nancy and I were also talking about earlier. P&Q, they flip it around, right?
Mhm.
As you think that you're better or too good, when actually it's their own feelings, and that's so true.
Well,
People always project
yeah.
their feelings onto someone else.
And it's like our peace is their loss.
Yes.
Which, it shouldn't be,
No, it shouldn't be.
But and I mean, I don't I don't know how many tarot readers are in the chat. I think Fatima is, and I think Pam Batchelor is. I'm not sure about other people, but when you look, the tarot cards are constantly changing.
Yes.
The Fool leaves, Death transforms, the Hermit withdraws, and to grow spiritually. The Tower dismantles or tears down.
Yes.
Judgment awakes, and the world completes.
Yes.
And like in the tarot, there's a journey, and you go through 21 major arcana cards, and as you're going, you start out as a Fool, and you go to all these different stages, and finally you get to the World, where you have completed that particular journey. But then you start all over again, because you're doing something else, and I get a tremendous amount of spirituality from my cards. I would miss them if somebody took away all my decks. I would be lost.
Right.
I mean, it's not. I mean, they're just paper, but it's what you get from them spiritually that is important to me.
Yes.
But
indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at my sis, her energy. She said, yes. She's like, I pick and choose who I even answer my phone for. We may love people, but some are simply draining. Yes.
Yeah.
Like Nancy said, you have those energy vampires, and it immediately. As soon as the phone rings, you're like, ugh. If you have to do that, then that means it's time to say bye.
I mean, if you are absolutely exhausted after you talk to somebody, it's like just like, oh my goodness, my brain feels fried. But I don't think they realize that, and that in itself is kind of troubling.
It's very troubling.
To go through life being negative all the time must be so difficult.
So difficult.
It's kind of like a person who chooses to be angry and mean.
Yes.
I mean, that takes a lot of work.
It does take a lot of work.
I think it does.
Truly does.
Yeah.
It truly does.
And that would make me tired.
Very tired. Very tired, Nancy. Hold on. I'm trying to I keep missing comments. Hi there, Lawless. Lawless says, hitting the like button to support. Thank you, Lawless.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much.
Pam says she's on the hermit's journey. And I am a hermit, I mean, my son lives next door, but I live by myself, and I'm an only child. And so I am very happy with my own company. I enjoy my own company. I don't feel lonely,
Right.
honestly don't. And I require a certain amount of just being by myself.
Yes.
If I had all this activity around me all the time, I can remember when my children were small, I used to say, I would set the timer, and I mean, there was just you want your children to talk, and then when they do, they never
They
like,
never get
like
quiet.
sometimes I would feel like my ears were bleeding.
I know.
I'd set the timer, and I would say, let's just not talk for 10 minutes.
Right.
Mommy needs some quiet, But but
Right. Ah, that's so cute. I only have one, Nancy.
well, two, is really doable. But when you get the third child, there's a whole nother dynamic. And nowadays,
Yes.
3 children is like a big family.
Yes.
Because a lot of people just have 1 or 2 now.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And P&Q says, and sometimes people we think are our friends, we don't find out, yes, their true identity until we do good or better ourselves. And that's true. Sometimes, and I've dealt with that here as well. And that's a part of the growing lesson too. It's where you think that you really found a good friend or somebody, and it turns out that they didn't have your best interest at heart. And I could never be that person, but there are so many people who, they don't have good intentions, and they become friends with you, but all the while they have that animosity or that hatred. And I don't know how people live with themselves like that. I've never been that person. I've never been that person. When I love you and you're friends with me, that's a genuine feeling. I don't have in the back of my mind that, oh, well, deep down, I can't stand you, but in front of everybody, I love you. I just don't get that. It's like a soap opera. It's like a soap opera.
Well, I can share something like, that happened to me. There was a person that I did not feel comfortable with when I would watch their videos and see them in chat. And I couldn't understand it, And then I was in a chat one day, and they were talking, and I got a better understanding of them and what they had gone through and what they were going through, and it completely changed how I felt about them.
Wow.
Because I thought, oh my goodness, because you don't need to say to yourself, well, I just don't like them, and then you don't even try to learn anything.
Right.
And now I realize that this is well, I mean, we're all very special souls,
yes, we are.
Every one of us.
Yes.
But I faulted myself on seeing her a certain way, and that's not really who she was.
Right.
And that was my mistake.
Right.
And so I learned from it, and of course, they never knew how I felt,
Right.
But I feel so much better about them, but also about myself, because I'm not judging them unfairly like I was.
Right.
And that's, owning up to that is a big thing.
That is a big thing. Yeah, that is a big thing. I agree. Well, sometimes I feel like we may have that, where there's somebody that we don't click with. Right. And we can't always put our finger on it, but we know that energy. And for us and people who are empathic, we know that you feel a certain energy about somebody. You may not have ever even spoken to that person sometimes, but that that's not your person. And I know that a lot of times, and you could sometimes tell by the way people move around you. Whenever you're in the room and you're happy and somebody's like a Debbie Downer, or they give you that side eye and they don't like it that you're positive, or you have that light and that energy around you. And there are so many people like that in this world, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I think that's a big part too, of boundaries as well, and also choosing ourselves, right, without feeling guilty. That's a big thing too. As
Mhm.
we evolve and we change, a lot of times we're not good time Charlie anymore. In my 20s, yeah, I was hanging out. In my 30s, I was a mom. In my 40s, I was going back to college and I was meeting new people. And I
Mhm.
was the one that when we had get-togethers, I had get-togethers at my house with everybody in study groups, and we would go out to dinner, and Lexi would pay for this and this and that. And
Mhm.
then when you're not that person anymore, you kind of see a change, right?
Yeah.
People just
Yeah.
like, oh well, she's not doing what she used to do anymore. So
Mhm.
people react to that. Or
Mhm.
if you just want to rest, rest is not being selfish. Like yesterday, my live streams are Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I did not go live yesterday. I needed my rest. It was important to me.
Yeah.
And some people just don't like it when you take care of yourself,
Mhm.
right? Some
Well,
people don't.
that's one thing as a crone, you need to take care of yourself because,
Yes,
you know, as we get older, we become frailer,
we
you
do.
know.
We
And
do.
I love what I don't know who it's
P and Q, yes.
Q says. I've learned that some people come into your life for a reason and a season. That's very true.
That's
Uh,
very true. That's very true.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Let's see. I'm trying to get to, something happened on my end, everybody. So I'm sorry. I'm behind on the messages here.
yeah,
This message too from her energy. She says, I'm kind of leery of people who don't enjoy their own company. Yes.
yeah.
I have learned so much more about myself going into hermit mode at times. And
Yes,
that's so true. It's
yeah.
true. I know, like for Nancy and I, we're both only children.
Hmm.
And my daughter Zoe is an only child. I mean, I have siblings but those siblings were way older than me. As for my mother, I'm my mother's only child. And I was raised by my mother for most of my life.
Mhm.
And I love being by myself. I always have. My daughter too. She loves
Mhm.
being by herself, and she's in her
Yeah,
20s. And everybody's like, "Well, why aren't you going out? And why aren't you?" She's like, "I love my own company. I like to stay home. There's
yeah,
nothing
and
wrong with
and,
that."
and we we need to love ourselves.
We do.
That is so important because well, I believe if you can't truly love yourself and all your faults
Hmm.
and all of the things that you're working on but maybe haven't finished yet, um, I don't think that you can truly love other people to the depth that you should.
Yes.
Maybe I don't know if that
Yes.
makes sense. I mean,
And
that's
that's so
how I
true.
feel.
Isn't that what RuPaul says? If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else?
Yeah,
This is
that's
true.
right. That's right.
You can't. And I had a friend once, an acquaintance. I wouldn't really call them a friend. And I'm like, well, do that mirror work. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. And she's like, oh, I could never do that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why not? She's like, no, I don't. I don't, I think she actually said the words, I don't love myself. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
clutching my pearls. Like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing I say after I get up in the morning and I'm like, thank you to everybody. The first thing I'm like, I love you. I look in the mirror and I'm like, I love you. I love me.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of getting older too, right? It's a big part of it.
Well, in the morning when I look in the mirror, when I go in the bathroom and I'm sitting there brushing my teeth and putting on my makeup or whatever I'm doing, um, I say like Barbara Streisand, hello, gorgeous. And then I just laugh because it's so ridiculous.
Yes,
But I mean, that raises my vibration. It gets me started,
but it's
where I'm
good.
happy. And I had a
Yes,
note here
yes,
of a crone's perspective. Of a crone knows that every season requires a death. We
yes,
shed beliefs, masks, roles, and expectations, not because we have become someone else, but because we are returning home to who we truly are.
Yes.
And think
Yes.
about that inside, returning home to who you truly are.
Yes.
And to me, that is huge.
It's so
And
huge.
I had read, maybe later on I can read things that I do first thing in the morning, like when I come into my sacred space before I begin reading, things that I say. And I was just looking. Pam says, yes, I've entered a slow, quiet time of my life. I cherish it. I love being by myself, and I always have,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I think as an only child, now Pam's not an only child, but Lexi and I are. I think, like my father was transferred a lot around the country with his job, and so I would have to start schools by myself. I didn't have any brothers or sisters to go with me. I was just like thrown in a new school and all these strangers, and had to sort of, um, you know, be strong
Yes.
and I mean, and it was hard at times, but it helped to make me, I think, who I am,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
being like self-reliant,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Let's see. Sorry, everybody. I'm having some technical difficulties here. A little bit of technical difficulties. Her energy says what? Like, OMG. Well, if you don't love yourself, how can you teach other people how to love you and treat you?
Yeah.
That's so true. You
Yeah.
have to be able to teach
That's
how
very
you want to be
important.
treated,
Hmm.
right? And, one of the questions that I had to Nancy was, why do you think so many people struggle with giving themselves permission to choose themselves? So many people don't choose themselves. They I don't know, it's like they run away from choosing them. I choose me.
Well,
Always.
I can kind of I can kind of I can understand that because
Mhm.
I I um I really, my parents had a very happy marriage, and so I wanted to have a very happy marriage. And I it took me a while to find my husband. We both were 33. We met at 32. We got married at 33. Um, I had my children at 34, 36, and 38. And um, and I desperately wanted children. I wanted to be a mommy, and but when you become a mother and also a wife, you put other people before you.
Yes.
Your child comes first.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, your
Well,
husband is very,
first your
very
husband,
important.
right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
But you have the responsibility of raising these little souls,
Yes. Yes.
and in the process of that, you can lose yourself.
You can.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's a real thing. And
Yes.
when I became older and my children were out on their own, um, I did not grieve like the empty nest like so many people
Mhm.
do,
Mhm.
because my children, I mean, you raise them to be self-reliant. You want them to go out in the world. You don't want to
Yes.
stifle them and keep them. At least that was the way I felt.
Right.
And but after all of that, I had to find myself again, like
Mhm.
who I was. Now, then my husband was very, very sick for many years, and I was uh, his caregiver, and I completely lost myself then. I
Yes.
mean, I
Yes.
completely did, and it was pretty much I shut down. I became very depressed. But after
Mhm.
he passed, and I miss him every day, but after he passed, I had I had to find myself again,
Yes.
and it was a process, but
Yes.
I did it, and I and that is where my spirituality became so important, and my cards became important because it helped me um find who I truly was and who I wanted to be and how to become that person. And I am happier now than I have been in a long time, because my husband had been sick for so long, you know.
Right.
And I love what Pam said there, because
Yes.
the cards, they make you think so deeply,
Mm-hmm.
and they open new passageways for you in your
Yes.
life, to where you can apply it to yourself. I don't care really. I mean, I do predictive readings, but I prefer spiritual readings where there's
Yes,
growth,
I do
where
too.
you're building up people rather than,
Yes, then
you know,
yes,
because
yes.
I've always said, if you have to ask if so and so loves
Right,
you,
you
you
already know
already
the
know the
answer.
answer. You know, I mean,
Yes.
you don't need to go from channel to channel to channel asking the same question,
Same question.
you know,
Right,
because
right.
the energy always changes.
Yes, it
You know,
does.
I
It
mean, how
does.
they feel today, they may not feel that same way next week, you know.
Right,
But
exactly.
anyhow, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Nancy.
Right, right.
Yes,
And
Pam
Pam,
says I
you know,
never
I
had
mean, that
children.
happens, you know, when you work as hard as Pam did, you
Mm-hmm.
come home and you are exhausted, and I mean, you fix you something to eat and you fall in the bed, and then you have to get up in
Yes,
the morning, and you have very little time for yourself. You know, I
yes,
mean, you're so tired when you get home, you don't want to do anything,
yes,
you know. So
yes.
I can understand that.
I can too. I can
Yeah.
too. So, yes. And, I think one thing also is we need to stop apologizing for growing. I think that a lot of us, we shrink ourselves down
Mhm.
to make other people happy
Mhm.
or other people who are in the spotlight. We don't want to take away from that. So we kind of shrink ourselves down. I don't do that, but I know a lot of people, especially a lot of women who do that.
Mhm.
And, we need to stop, I think, seeking that permission. We don't need to seek
Mhm.
permission for anything. I
Yeah.
think we really need to stop
Mhm.
doing that and become, stop over explaining. And a lot, no is a full sentence. And if I don't want to do something and I know that it's not serving me, I'm not going to do it. And I don't owe you an explanation. I don't have to over say, oh, well, I'm so sorry. No, you don't have to do any of that. It's just
No.
no. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I can't do that. No, period. I don't owe you. I don't need to over explain myself
Yeah.
constantly. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we do. And that's that kind of shrinking ourselves down.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
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 I think we need to become more authentic
Mhm.
with ourselves, a lot of us. And, I think once we do that, healthier relationships follow us.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know, one thing that we need to remember is we're all meant to become. We're
Yes.
meant to become who we truly are, who we're
Yes.
supposed to be, and I believe who we came back
Hmm.
to be, you know, in
Yes.
this lifetime, you know.
Yes.
And I you know, I just think that's so important, you know,
It's very important.
and you know, it gives your life meaning. And it doesn't have, you know, I mean, it can, I mean, it can be meaningful to someone else, but the important thing is for it to be meaningful to you.
Yes.
You know, because when you are
Yes.
fulfilled and when you love yourself, you have a lot to give other people,
You do.
you know.
You do.
And and I think, you know, when you feel good about yourself, and you go out and you go into a store and you see somebody that looks like they might be struggling, and you give them a big smile and
Yes.
say hello, you know, or oh gosh, I love your sweater. You know, you have no
Yes.
idea the ramifications that has in another person's life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you
I've
have
had,
to, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off, Nancy. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, that, you
Mhm.
know, one time I went in a store and everybody was kind of talking to everybody, like, you know, we were on the kitty cat and the doggy aisle, and everybody was, you know, just saying, oh, my dog will love this. And I said, well, that's too big for my dog. I have a chihuahua.
Right, right.
And I mean, we're just talking and having the best time. And how rare is that?
Very rare.
people just, well, of course, people gravitate to you like you're a magnet.
They do.
Yes.
They really do, Nancy. They do. Zoe just gives me the side eye. She's like, "Did you know that person?" I'm like, "No." But people just come up to me and tell me their whole life story in like less than 5 minutes, and everything is always like, "Oh, who's that, mommy?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
So it's true. It's true. They do. They do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so my question for you, Nancy, is what has been the biggest benefit, like of your personal growth? What do you think's been the biggest benefit?
Well, I feel that I am on the right path. I am, spirituality is very important to me, and that is, what I am, not seeking is not the right word, but that is what I require. That is what calls out to me, and it may be because I'm 79.
Yes.
I mean, I have been here longer than I am going to be here
Yes.
in the future,
Yes. Yes.
and there is a certain there's a certain peace with that, But while I'm still here, I want to grow as much as I can. I want to understand things. I want to be grounded. I want to appreciate every moment of my life.
Yes.
And that's hard. And that's why this is what I wanted to say, that this is what I say each morning is, may my day unfold gently. May my practice be deep. May my tea be warm. May my cards speak clearly. And may I remember again and again that I do not have to become anything other than what I already am.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to, but as I learn and as I grow, I become more of myself.
Yes. Yes.
And that's a wonderful place to be,
Yes.
But I'm at a stage in my life where I can do this. I can spend all this time on myself. I mean, I enjoy being with my children, and I have, friends, and I have wonderful friends here on YouTube.
Yes. Yes.
YouTube, and when you're working and you have children and there's a lot going on, or if you're a caregiver, you don't have that time for yourself that I have now.
Right.
But that is in my past. Now,
yes.
One thing is that I think about, and I have talked to my daughter about it, is, I am the matriarch of my family.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I am a strong person. I'm strong, maybe not so much physically, but mentally,
Yes.
And I have told my daughter, I am still the adult in our relationship. I am your mother. But I said, there will be a time when our roles change and you will become the adult and I will be the child.
Yes.
And I said, I just have one thing that I want to ask of you. Please be gentle.
Yes.
Because it's very frustrating when you're a caregiver sometimes, and not that she will be taking care of me. I have no fear of going in a nursing home. That's fine.
Right.
I'll have a wonderful time if it comes to that.
Yes.
I don't fear it. Some people really do that. Oh gosh, don't put me in a home, But if it comes to that where I can't take care of myself, I don't expect my children to,
Right.
But that is something to think about, and that's part of my path as well.
Yes, it is. It is.
And
yeah, it is. I know, and you're right. Being a caregiver is very hard. And my mother and I, we were so close. We were bonded, at the hip. And I was never going to put my mom, would never be in a nursing home, you
Mhm.
know. I wanted to take care of her. But at the time, she needed more care than I could give her.
Mhm.
And when she went into the hospital, I kind of sent, I'm like, I wanted her to come home, but I sensed it that I don't think
Yeah.
she's coming home.
Yeah.
And that was very, very hard. And when you're a caregiver, you give all of yourself. And what you said, like you told Robin, please be gentle. And that's so
Mhm.
true. And I
Mhm.
was very gentle with my mom
Yeah.
because, that's what you deserve, right? We've
Mhm.
earned the right when we get to a certain age, you earn that right to be taken care of.
Mhm.
And as the saying goes, right? What is it? Once an adult, twice a child.
Yes.
And so that happens. It got to the point where my mother, she started calling me mommy. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was so, I'm just like, yeah. She's like, mommy, and I'm like, I know,
Yeah. Yeah. Of
so
course.
we really have to be gentle. We really do. We really
We
have to
do.
be gentle.
And we have to be gentle with ourselves too.
Yes, we do.
I mean, there are
Yes, we do.
times when we just really need to be gentle with ourselves
We
and
do. We
and,
do.
but,
Yeah.
I think, well, you had talked to me about, I don't know if you decided not to talk about this, but about when you were going back to school.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think we should share that because I think this really shows like what we're talking about. And I
Yes.
had trouble understanding how this
Mhm.
person, that she's going to
Right.
talk
Right.
about got to the point of where but anyhow, go ahead, Lexi.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
I'm just talking and talking. I've passed all by that. But yes, I decided at the age of 45 to go back to school. And I had this friend, we were friends for 10 years. She considered me a best friend, as I did her. Both of our children went to kindergarten together and were friends from the age of 5 to the age of basically maybe 14 or so, 15-ish. And this person had a master's degree in speech pathology. They worked in the school system. This person, had just bought a big, beautiful house. They went through a divorce. They moved on with their life. They bought a big, beautiful home. Their job was just amazing. And they were doing all the things. And when I decided that, well, I'm going to go back to school and get my degree in education, this person was so, I think, upset with me about it. And it's like, like basically, how dare me? How dare I want to better myself? And I'm like, I would have been, if somebody would have said it to me in the position that I was in, that, oh, I'm going back to school, I would have been so happy. I would have been trying to help them.
Mhm.
This is somebody who had
Yeah.
their master's degree and everything. She never offered any assistance to me. And I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about just in, you know, going back to school at a certain age. She did hers straight after high school, and I didn't. So I went to school straight from the age of 45 to the age of 51 to get my Bachelor of Arts degree in education and my master's as well. And we used to talk every day and message and everything. And I was telling Nancy, everything was beautiful. We had such a really good friendship, at least I thought. And
Mhm.
one day she sent me all these messages. And then at the very last message, she basically says to me, well, I hope you have a nice life because I'm done. I don't want to be your friend anymore. And I'm like, huh? In other words, she was saying to me, I had new friends now. So, go be with those friends. And I just thought that was so selfish
Yeah.
because I don't ever begrudge anybody anything. I'm so happy for everybody here who grows and is doing new
Mhm.
things. That's what we want for each other.
Well, I could kind of
We
understand that if it was someone who had always wanted to go
want
back
each
to school.
other to grow.
Yeah, yeah, but if someone, I could
We
understand it if it
really
was
want.
some.
Did we freeze? All right. Am I
Yeah.
back in the picture? I think
Well,
we froze a little
what
bit.
I was gonna say is I could sort of understand that attitude if it was someone who had always wanted to go back to school and wasn't able to, and they were jealous of you. But the way, it
Yes,
happened,
yes.
I'm having trouble understanding their thought process, you know.
Me too, Nancy.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. It was very shocking to me. I really
Mhm.
didn't, I never saw it coming. I didn't think that
Yeah.
that person would have those kind of feelings.
Right.
And yeah, and I'm like, I just wanted to better myself. I wanted my mother specifically and Zoe. Zoe was in middle school at this time. Zoe had just gone to middle school when I went back to college. And I wanted Zoe to see her mother do something special. And I wanted my mother didn't graduate high school, and my mother was fantastic. My mother started working when she was in 11th grade, and she didn't graduate. And but my mother taught, she was self-taught. She taught
Mhm.
herself everything to
Mhm.
get from where she was. She was a big operations manager of
Mhm.
where she worked for over 21 years. And she was just, everybody loved her. And
Mhm.
I wanted my mother to see that, out of us, our three generations, I wanted her to see her daughter get that degree and work hard. And I wanted Zoe to see
Yeah.
me work hard. I
Mhm.
really did. I mean, I worked full time. I would get up in the morning, make sure Zoe got off to school. I would go to work. I would leave work and I would go straight to the college. And I wouldn't get
Mhm.
home till Zoe was already in bed. And that was rough. That was a rough
Yeah.
transition. My mother was home taking care of Zoe for me while I was in school. And it was a lot. It was a lot. And for somebody to begrudge that, it was like, wow.
Mhm.
I would never do that to somebody.
No.
So it's just
Yeah.
it's something how people do. It's just something. And let's see what Pam says. Pam says that's very interesting, Lexi. Very odd behavior. Yes, I'd be shocked too. Indeed,
Yeah. Yeah.
indeed, Pam. I was very shocked.
I
Very
mean, when
shocked.
Lexi told me that, I was like, "What?" I mean,
Yes,
that's to me that was very hard to
very hard. Very
process,
hard.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I wanted to ask the chat, has anybody here ever been told that you've changed, but it wasn't like a good thing? Did anybody say, oh, you changed, but they didn't like the way, like this person didn't like that I changed. I was trying to make a change for
Right. Right.
myself. She didn't like it. And
Mhm.
I was trying to go, better myself. So I
Yeah.
wonder if anybody here has gone through that. Has anybody ever said to you, you change, especially when you're doing something good for yourself, and they just didn't like it? They just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so odd. It's just odd behavior.
And look at how many years you did that, Lexi.
Yes, Nancy.
I
I
mean,
did it 6 years
that to
straight.
me, I mean, I can't even imagine,
Yeah, I
because
know. Yes.
I mean, I know how I felt when I got off work. Sometimes it's all
Yes.
I can do to get in the
I
house. I'm
know.
so tired, and then to
I
have to go to
know.
school and make my brain
Yes.
think, I don't know.
Yes.
You're stronger than I
Yes.
am. That's for
Nancy, it
doggone
was
sure.
really hard. And especially
Yeah.
having a young child at that time and my
Yeah.
senior mother,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
because I'm part of that sandwich generation. So taking care of my senior mother, taking care of my little girl, and then
Mhm.
trying to take care of myself in between
Yeah.
and going to work. I mean, we would leave the house sometimes at 6 in the morning. I would get Zoe to the bus, then I would run off to work. Or I would try to get Zoe. Some mornings I'd go in a little later, so I'd take Zoe. We'd have a little breakfast. I'd get her some breakfast,
Uh,
drop her to school, or take her back to the bus stop if we were early enough. Then I would get on to work my full day, and I was an office manager, and there was a lot that went on there.
yeah.
And then as soon as I would get off work, it would be straight out to Belmont here in North Carolina to go to
Mhm.
the college. And, so it wasn't like it was close. I had to get on that freeway, get out there and hurry up and get there and find a parking space and walk up 3 flights of stairs to get to my class. I mean, this was something that I did every single day.
Uh-huh.
And, it wasn't easy, but I'm not a quitter. I will never quit anything. I will just never quit.
Yeah.
And so, I was determined to really push myself and do that. And that person didn't like it, made it even more that, well, I'm going to show you, So yeah. Yeah. What do you think, anybody here? What kind of boundary has improved your life? I know for me, the boundary that's improved my life is just peace, saying no, not going to places where I know I'm not welcome, or where I know that place doesn't do anything for me, doesn't serve
Mhm.
me. For instance, because we're on YouTube, for instance,
Mhm.
like there's certain chats or certain places I just don't go because the energy there I just can't get with.
Right, right.
So, in different communities, so I just don't go there. And it's like, yeah, I'd rather not, I just would rather have peace, you know.
Um, Pam said, I've heard of stories like that when someone lost a lot of weight, it caused friends to get weird. I've heard of that too.
Yes, Pam, that is so true. I was talking about that too. Zoe and I were talking about that. My daughter, and she's 28, and she's on a weight loss journey, as am I. And we were talking. Mentioned it to Nancy too earlier, where you're that fat friend, or you're the funny friend, or you're the this
Mhm.
friend, and then once you start losing weight, those people want to separate because now I guess they feel like you're taking over their
Yeah.
spotlight or something. They can't get with that. You're not the same person as you were, and they can't get. And I'm like, well, we're making changes for our health. It has nothing to do with vanity. It has to
Mhm.
do with trying to get healthy.
Right.
I know now it's summer. This is the hot girl summer. It has nothing to do with that. It's like we want to be healthy. But
Yeah.
people do
Yeah.
have a hard time with that. You're right, Pam. People
Yeah.
do have a hard time with that. They
And
really, really
did
do.
you see what Fatima said?
Yes, I'm going to put that out.
Yeah.
Yes. Went through menopause. I gained weight. Yes. Then someone asked my sister-in-law, what the hell happened to Fatima? She's huge. Yeah, that's so rude. It's so
And
rude.
that had to hurt your feelings. I mean,
Yes,
I
Fatima,
just,
it did.
you know,
First of all, we don't take the time to find out what's really going on with someone before we judge them, right?
yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't take the time. And there's that saying that goes around, be kind because you don't know what somebody else is going through. You don't know if somebody's sick, if somebody's going through, for
That's
instance,
right.
menopause. You just don't
That's
know.
right.
I
Yeah.
had a conversation with a friend this morning, and he was telling me somebody had a live stream and they were out to dinner with their husband, and it was a celebration and they filmed it and everything. And somebody came in and said, oh, you're fat, you're this, you're that. And she's like, I can't, how dare you? How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah.
And people are just so cruel these days. People are so easy to have that keyboard courage, or to say something to somebody they would probably never say to your face. Like you
Oh,
said,
yeah.
Fatima, they
Yeah.
said it to
I
your
mean,
sister-in-law, but they didn't come to your face and say it.
yeah.
People are something. What do you think about that, Nancy?
Well, I mean, I think there are a lot of people that bully people online. I mean,
Yes.
you hear about, you know, children in school and in high school,
Mm-hmm.
being
Mm-hmm.
bullied, and some of them take their own lives. I mean, it's just
Yes.
so catastrophic for them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like what I said earlier. It to me, it's easier to be nice, to be friendly, and to be supportive than it is to be hateful and always
Yes.
plotting somebody's downfall. I mean, my
Yes.
goodness, I
Yes.
mean, life's too short,
It truly is.
to
It truly
to do
is.
that. But there are always going to be those bullies, and there's always going to be,
Always. Always. And, yeah. You have to go
all I
back to that.
all I can say is shame on them, you
That
know,
part. Right.
because
Right.
they've got to be miserable. If they're trying to make
They have to
everybody
be.
miserable, they
Yes.
have to be miserable,
Yes, they do.
and
And
that's
Fatima says, no, that person did not. Fatima says, no,
mhm.
right. She wasn't going to ever say
Yeah,
that to your face. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Nancy. Life is just too
Mhm.
short, and we just need to be
You know, I
kind. We really
I
do.
remember years ago when my youngest was born, this girl that wasn't married at the time, she came over. She worked with my husband, and she came over to visit. And David was just so excited because he had a little brother, and he was kind of bouncing off the walls. And she
Mhm.
said something, about him, to calm down, which was not, I mean, was, excuse me, this is my child. I'll tell him when to calm down. He's fine. He's
Right,
excited. But anyway, I told
right.
Ricky, I said, I hope she's not married, but I said, I'll be interested to see, if she has children and she got married and she she had the first child she had was this little boy and this child was into everything.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he was, I mean, just watching him, I mean, he was like a whirling dervish. And I thought, uh-huh, you know,
Uh-huh. Well,
yeah,
karma,
yeah. What do
karma.
you think? Yeah, yeah. But it was
Yeah.
funny. I mean, I thought,
Yes, yes. Ah,
but
oh
anyhow,
my
you
goodness.
know,
Well, I think we've
but
had an amazing conversation, Nancy, today.
yeah, and I had a little something that I wanted to close with that I um, for us all. It's just something very simple. Hands together, heart open. May I meet this day with curiosity rather than certainty. May I speak with kindness and listen with compassion. May I remember that nothing is separate. May I walk the crone's path with wisdom, humor, and grace. For all beings everywhere, may there be peace.
I love
That's
that,
what
Nancy. That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. I just wanted to say to everybody, too, that, you're allowed to grow and you're allowed to evolve. And, you're
Hmm.
allowed to change your mind because that's our prerogative. And you're allowed to create boundaries. Don't feel like you can't because you're allowed to do that. And you don't owe anyone an apology for becoming who you are meant to be. You don't owe anybody an apology at all. So I want to
You're
thank
here.
each, yes, yeah. I want to thank each and every one of you for spending this time with us because we love it, Nancy and I. And
Yeah.
next Tuesday will be on Nancy's channel. And so you got to
And
stay
I have to
tuned. Wait
think
and
of a
see what that.
topic. Yeah. Yeah. Wait and see what I come up with, huh?
Yeah, you have to wait and see. Wait and see. Wait and
Yeah.
see. Yes, yes.
But I've
So
enjoyed this, Lexi, and I think you picked a really good topic.
thank you, Nancy. I loved it. I loved it. I always love talking to you, of course. And
Oh,
I love
yeah.
talking to all of our friends here. Love talking to everybody. So, everyone, Nancy and I'll be sticking around, but we'll see you all next Tuesday, hopefully. And we'll see you in the YouTube streets.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Yes.
Mwah.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Love you. Love you plenty.